there's a crew in town. The head hillbillies are making their rounds. Small town whispers loud and clear. The sheriff shot the judge in his chambers chair.
Sheriff got a secret he won't keep. Judge shot dead in his disbelief. A lot of people have some stories to tell. Dark pass away, get the sound of a shotgun shell.
All the secrets spill on down. Voices loud in this old town. From the courthouse to the ground, rumors fly and they can't be bound.
Neighbors hide behind their blinds, whisper tales of troubled minds. Skeletons covering the mountainside, a treacherous reality in the pines.
Winter reveals the hidden lies. Moonlight couldn't mask their cries. Shadows caught in sunlit skies. There's no cover, no disguise. All the secrets spill on down. Voices loud in this old town. From the courthouse to the ground, rumors fly and they can't be found.
Winter reveals the hidden lie. Moonlight could mask their cries. Shadows caught in sunlit skies. There's no cover, no disguise.
All the secrets spill on down. Voices loud in this old town. From the courthouse to the ground, rumors fly and they can't be bound.
Hello, good evening. Welcome to our show. If you've not been here before, my name is Elizabeth, and this is Hillbilly Crime. Sweet Tater's not with us again. It's a little too late for her. We're a little bit late coming on tonight. Sometimes as usual. Alan had a basketball game, and I went up there to pick him up, but it was just halftime. So I got another mom to bring him home whenever he's done. How is everybody this evening? We've already got a ton of people here. There's a lot of big news, big updates. So we'll let everybody come on in before we dive into it. Hello, Miss Trudy. Bless you. Thank you for being here. Crystal, as always, is here. Miss Marnie, as always, is here. Thank you, ladies, so much. They are two of our always present mods who we're very, very grateful for. Coal miner's daughter. Hello. Hello. Yeah. We got a lot of emails. Absolutely. We've been getting a lot of emails. And I've been working more on the store. So we've got more things up on the store. A lot where we didn't have court today. They didn't have the Karen Reed trial today. So I guess day 8 will pick up tomorrow morning. So join us for that. It's really interesting to watch these trials because you get a good sense of how our criminal justice system works in the courtroom, which is very important. we put so much focus and stuff on the arrest, being in jail, the charges, indictments, stuff like that. But a lot of people don't realize what goes on in the court process. And, that's all really important, because a lot of things are not allowed to come into the trial. So we may know things, as viewers, we watch the news and stuff like that. But when it comes to the trial, they have certain rules of evidence, and they have, just certain processes that they have to go through, that we don't really, if we're not trained lawyers, we don't really know. And a lot of us true crime junkies, a lot of us have had experiences, personal experiences, whether it be on our own personal experience with the court system, the justice system, or a loved one. Oftentimes we were just loved ones, our loved ones went through something, and you watch them go through it, and it's very difficult. So, watching these trials, just educate. It's a really great way to educate yourself, and not being a lawyer, because, very few of us actually become lawyers, very few of us do. But we still yet are subject to that system. So we need to at least have a basic understanding, right? Anyway, all right. So there was a settlement conference. I'm not sure what day. I think it was the 28th or the 29th. Might have been the 29th. They had a settlement conference for the civil suit in Mickey Stines, it was the case of Ben Fields. So anybody who is not aware of who Ben Fields is, we'll give you a little quick rundown. Ben Fields was the deputy. He was a Letcher County Sheriff's Office deputy. Sheriff's Department deputy. He also was a court security officer. So that's what he did. He used to work in the jail, the Letcher County Jail, and he did that for over 10 years. So he would have been working in the jail the entire time that Mickey was working as court bailiff, court officer for Judge Kevin Mullins, the district judge. So I think that's really important to point out. Mickey didn't just hire some guy to be a deputy. These people all knew each other, and they knew each other for a long period of time before any of this, the civil suit and that kind of stuff happened. So when Mickey decided to run for sheriff in 2018, he won, and he went over to the sheriff's department. And but before, when he was working as the bailiff for Kevin Mullins, he was also responsible for the house arrest system. So he was the one who was doing the ankle monitors for all of the defendants who were out on house arrest. When he ran for sheriff and won and went over to the sheriff's department behind the courthouse, he then recommended Ben to be his replacement. And he took over both positions. He took over the house arrest, and he took over the court bailiff position for Judge Mullins. He was in that position for 2 or 3 years, maybe. Doing the math quick in my head, 2 or 3 years before the allegations were made against him. And remember, these women were leaving the jail and going into the ankle monitor and house arrest system. So he had intimate knowledge of the jail, and God only knows what he was doing when he was working as a jail officer. There was never been any kind of investigations into that kind of thing. So, I'd like to know that. But one of the big shockers, you ready? One of the big shockers that I heard from this document dump was that they have decided. Now, I haven't got the document yet. I'm waiting for it. I was supposed to have already had it, but it was read to me. Uh-oh. Just got it. I just got it. I just got them all. All right. Way to go, way to go, way to go. Okay. This is oh, wow. There's a ton of documents here. All right. I'm not going to put it up on the screen. I'm just going to read this one. So this was, let's see, Sabrina Adkins et al. Versus Ben Fields et al. The order. This matter is before the court on defendant Letcher County Sheriff Mickey Stines' motion for substitution. Now, this was a motion by Mickey's people, okay? So it said, that's what it says. It was this matter before the court on defendant Letcher County Sheriff Mickey Stines' motion for substitution of successor. Do you know what that means? Do you know who his successor? I think I froze there for a second. Okay. His successor would be the new Sheriff Jones. Remember, Mickey was only added to this lawsuit in his official capacity, not in his personal capacity, which really makes you question, why was Daniel Dotson at his deposition? Mickey had an attorney. Mickey had an attorney that was assigned to him through the Sheriff's Association or whoever it was. So, and when he went to give that deposition, that lawyer was there. His lawyer that was there to represent him in his official capacity as sheriff was there. And if you think about it, remember when we went back through, most of you all that watch my show have went through all these with us. So if you have not read the depositions, or it's in the playlist if you want to go look for it. But every time, it's to the best of my memory, every time that Mickey talked to his lawyer when he was giving his deposition, it was Daniel Dotson that was doing all the talking. Why was Daniel even there? He never put in an entry of appearance. on that case. He only showed up that one time when Mickey was given his deposition. Why was he there? If it wasn't, and this is our only speculation, of course, but if it was not to allegedly keep an eye on him, intimidate him, keep him quiet. But then we see this order that comes down. Let's look. This is what we're talking about. So they've substituted Mickey, or new Sheriff Jones, in Mickey's place. So now new Sheriff Jones is being sued. Is that right? If that was the case and you could do this, why didn't Mickey just step down? If this was possible, why didn't Mickey just step down? I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know. I'm asking the question. Why didn't he just step down? They appoint a new sheriff. But Mickey was the one that they have accused of not, well, I don't know if accused is the right word, but I think so. Mickey is the one that they have named responsible for not training Ben and not supervising Ben. The new Sheriff Jones was a school resource officer. Now he worked for the sheriff's department. He worked under Mickey, but he was a school resource officer. I don't think he was out running the roads as a deputy. I could be wrong, but I don't think so. Ayyyy, just in time. Hello, all. I hope everyone's safe from the weather. Absolutely. And hit that like button for us, y'all. It's a big show tonight. Big show tonight. And I still have not had no vape. So I guess we are officially now at the end of day 2, getting ready to start day 3. It's been rough. And I still got a patch on each arm. I'm wanting to put on a third one. I'm just kidding. Don't do that. Don't do that. All right, let's see. My eyes are getting bad, y'all. All right. At the time this action commenced, Stines was sheriff for Letcher County. But as Stines' motion details, Billy Jones has since replaced Stines as sheriff and was sworn in on October 1st, 2024. Stines, therefore, seeks sheriff defendant. Oh, wait a minute. Stines, therefore, seeks an order. I skipped a line. From the court, substituting Billy Jones for Mickey Stines as the named Letcher County Sheriff defendant in this matter. Pursuant to Fed R Civ P, it's some number, legal number, I don't know what it is. An action does not abate when a public officer who is a party in an official capacity dies, resigns, or otherwise ceases to hold office while the action is pending. The officer's successor is automatically substituted as a party accordingly. It is ordered that Mickey Stines' motion for substitution of successor is granted. Billy Jones is hereby substituted as the successor to Mickey Stines as the named Letcher County Sheriff in this matter. Signed April 3rd, 2025. So, if this was signed April 3rd, that means that was a month ago that this was signed. It was just released. I don't know when it was released, but I found out about it today. So that is just one of so many. Oh my gosh. We got everything. We got it all. Let's see what you all think about this first one. Indie girl. Hey, congratulations to all of us. Congratulations. Thank you to all of our diggers. Thank you to all of our sources. We sure couldn't do it without you. And y'all know who you are. Anonymously. Getting my fishing poles ready for the morning. Will you? I hope you catch a great big old fish there, Buggy Man. Donna Steelman became a YouTube member. Good deal. Good deal. Pink Volo. Last night the show was great. Well, thanks. Listen, I've got such bad anxiety. I try not to let it show. But usually after the show is over, I'll pace for like an hour. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Worrying if I said the wrong thing. So, a Teague. So, new sheriff is being sued. Very surprising, ain't it? Very surprising. If it gets approved and ordered, that's the order, Miss Marnie. It was granted. It was granted and put in an order last month. Thank you. I stay at this computer, y'all. I work like, if I'm not sleeping, I'm working on something to do with this. I promise I do the work of an entire team. That is crazy. I know he wasn't there, but I'll take the blame. Well, you know, it sounds like the wording in that, it sounds like that's something common that takes place. So, if that's a common thing that happens when a sheriff has stepped out, it just makes me wonder, why didn't they do that in the first place? If they were so worried and so scared about what Mickey was going to say in a deposition, why didn't they do that in the first place? That's what this is over. That's what all these documents are over, is the civil suit. Ain't got nothing to do with Mickey's defense for the pew. This is all regarding Ben Fields' case. I just didn't see it coming. I didn't see it coming, and I've not heard anybody else mention this as even a possibility. So I don't know. Yes, see you later. The office itself is liable. It's the office. That's why when they name them in their official capacity versus their personal capacity. I think there's an argument to be made about the personal capacity. But all I'm saying is I think there's an argument there. I'm not saying that I think it should have been. I'm just saying I think there's an argument there. And the reason why I say that is because of those group chats. The group chats really show the culture that was developed in that sheriff's department. And it spans the whole department. It ain't just Mickey. It spans that entire department. You know, certain ones kind of feed off each other. When you end up getting so many people, like-minded people, by the way, you know, I've used that analogy about the rotten apple. If you have one rotten apple in a bag, what happens to the other apples? Well, if it's touching the other apples, they start rotting right at that spot that they touch too. It doesn't start rotting on the other side. It rots where it touches. And I just think that there's an argument there. I think there was an argument for more people to be named in that civil suit. You know, I'm not convinced that there wasn't a great big agreement that spanned a whole bunch of people. If I'm right about that, then that means there's a lot of people in the know about that. But I believe, just me speculating, of course, but I believe that there was a big agreement between a whole bunch of people that said, because they had a settlement conference. Let's see if I have that. I bet you I do. Settlement conference. Here it is. Civil minutes. Settlement conference. So this is present. Had the magistrate judge. Counsel present for plaintiffs, for Sabrina, the estate of Jennifer Hill. Ned Pillersdorf, Bethany Baxter, Joe Childers. And then counsel for defendants. Now, see, Benfield's was named in this lawsuit in his personal capacity and his official capacity. He was named both individually and with the sheriff's department. And he also had to have 2 attorneys. He had one attorney for his individual, and he had one attorney for his official. Now, I guess Mickey could have had DD there just to be there. But why would he be named? I guess he would have had to have put his name in the deposition in the beginning of the deposition because he was there and he was present. But he spoke in that. You know, he took breaks with Mickey. He answered questions. He asked questions. Just makes me wonder. Let's see. Eddie, salutations, Hillbilly Crime. Hope y'all are having a good evening. We sure are. It's a blessed one. Federal Rules of Civil Procedure, FRCP. Well, thank you there, Charles Henry. I love that big old hat. I want me a big cowboy hat. the office, not the person specifically, correct? For Mickey, Ben is named both personal and official. And it doesn't really say anything. It just says who was present. Eastern Kentucky Correctional Services, Patty Stockham, representative. It doesn't even say who her lawyer was. It just says representative. Deputy clerk, certify the official record of this proceeding is an audio file. So we're going to have the audio, hopefully. This matter was called for proceeding with counsel and parties present, the court having heard counsel and being duly advised. It is ordered that this matter is recessed to chambers for further settlement negotiations. So that means they went into the chambers to finish that. What date was this one? This was April 29th, 2025. So this one was the court date that they had. It was a settlement conference that they had on the 29th. And what I think that is, if I'm not mistaken, is like a mediation. Does anybody know if that's what it is? I think it is. But remember, I'm no lawyer, so I don't know. There's a whole lot of this stuff I do not know. I'm going to go out on a limb and assume the new Sheriff Jones is no relation to you. No. Nope. I never even put that together. These shows are getting intense. We got a whole lot to go through. Dave, the county may have to dip into the miscellaneous fund. And I heard through the grapevine about the $3 million that the city of Whitesburg just got for the hotel that I was talking about. I just heard, I haven't confirmed it yet, but somebody told me who was doing it, who's supposed to redo it. And it's just very surprising because I think they work for the city. I think they've worked for the city for 30 years or something. I don't know. I don't know really what I think about all this. I need to know more information before I can give any opinion on it, I guess. But I do want to know where all those other millions have went that were, they put a great big article in the newspaper about all these millions and millions of dollars that they were getting just for that project. And that project hasn't been done at all that I've seen. I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't think so. Where'd all that money go? Because we never heard another word about it. You would think that this kind of news would be on the local news stations. Well, that's what I mean. A whole lot of these cases and stuff, they'll put out an article, at the beginning, but you never hear any of the follow-ups, And this case specifically has so many good old boys involved that a lot of people, even these news networks, they ain't touching it. That little boy that got assaulted by the ex-wife of one of the officials down there the day of the pew, I asked him, I said, are you gonna tell that? Or are you gonna make a story out of that? He was like, oh no, no. I said, why not? She whooped on you. He was like, He was even scared. Now, I was very new to media and stuff. So, I mean, I'd done like public access stuff, TV stuff, but never like investigative stuff. Or anything anywhere near a pew at a courthouse. But I was so surprised. Head in the clouds, 33. Thank you for your super sticker, sweetheart. I was just so surprised that he was like, no. He said, Lord, I don't know how I'd act if it was my family. Well, I mean, our hearts go out to anybody that something like this happens to, of course. But, it's not. I just beg to differ. It's not a private matter. I mean, this was national news. It's not private. Hello from West Virginia. Everybody stay safe out there. Much love to all. When people run for a public office and they become a public official, that's what that means. It's a public. Now, if you were a private citizen, and you worked from home, or shoot, if you worked at the Save-A-Lot down in town, then that would be different. But when you're a public official, and you've done put your whole life out on Facebook and social media, the only thing that I thought of that anybody could really say, the little feller that runs all of the events, and he records the city council meetings all over Letcher County. He doesn't just do Whitesburg's. He does Jenkins's. He does anything that they ask him to come to. He comes and he records it and puts it up on their government channel on the cable, however they do that. And he has done that kind of work for decades, him and his brother. And he had some old video from like Jenkins Days festivals and stuff like that. He had some old video and he put it up on Facebook. And he was like, here, look at this. Look what I found. And he had an old video where he had seen Judge Mullins out at Jenkins Days, out kissing babies and shaking hands. And he had his little daughter with him. And he was holding his little daughter. And he had her all up in the camera. Well, we watched that. We watched that video. So I don't know if maybe that was something that somebody had told old Butthead. That was really the only thing I could think of, But that wasn't like, the way that old Butthead put it up on Facebook. That was something completely different, It was something that was already out there in social media world that I just found and repurposed for my show. So I just thought I'd mention that. Hi, sweet Elizabeth. Hope you are well. Live in Dollywood area of Tennessee. My kids have never been to Dollywood. We've never been able to afford to go on a vacation. I always had to work. And we've always had too many pets. We got too many dogs. But one day I want to take them to Dollywood. That's our very first vacation we're going to take one day. But born and raised in Virgie, Kentucky, Pike County. We play Virgie all the time in basketball. I think we play them like once in baseball, but once a year, I think. Maybe more. But I know we play them in basketball. Is Dr. Araz still over near hospital? I don't know. I don't know. I remember seeing that name. That name's real familiar, but I don't know. Sabrina's motion for mediation with Ben individually et al. Was approved 9/20/24. Well, they had another one. I agree. I think that was the only way that Mickey knew would get attention. It's sad, though. Well, I've always said, why? Why did Mickey, think about it. Mickey was getting ready to retire. He was coming up on the very tail end of his second term. He was done. He told everybody he was done. He was leaving. Well, through my digging around and investigating, and through a couple sources, very credible sources, I found out that there was a meeting that allegedly took place before the deposition, before Mickey went and gave his deposition for this case. It was allegedly a meeting between Judge Mullins and our Judge Executive, Terry Adams. In this meeting, allegedly, Kevin told Terry who he wanted to replace Mickey, and they picked Billy Jones. That decision was made before, from the reports that I've gotten, that decision was made before Mickey ever went to that deposition. Why? What did they know? What did they know when they went to that, or when they had that meeting? How did they know that Mickey would even need to be replaced? I've also kind of dug up that if Mickey was getting ready to retire, he was getting ready to leave, could there have been a lot of talk going on? Think about how those of you who live here, think about how the gossip mill is down there. If you live here, I don't have to tell you. You already know. Gossip Central. You can't leave that courtroom upstairs and get out the front door before the staff in the lawyers' offices around town already know what happened before you even get out the front door. The backstabbing, two-faced, think about it. It's bad down there. I've always heard it was bad. Super bad. I know firsthand that you can't get out the front door without the staff at the lawyers' offices around town knowing about it. I experienced it. I walked out the courthouse steps, down the steps, walked into an office right next door, walked upstairs, and the staff up there laughed me out of the office. Can you believe she came over? Can you believe she came here? Oh my gosh. I was just the last one to know. I didn't know. I had no idea. It's bad. So, could there have been a whole lot of talk going on behind Mickey's back? And what happens when that happens? This one over here comes to you and puts a little something in your ear, and then that one over there comes and puts something in your ear that what they heard, and this one over here will go tell that one what they heard, and then they'll come to you, and that telephone game, each person that it goes through, they're gonna put their own little twist on it, maybe. I mean, I don't know, I'm just assuming. But we do know that Mickey got a message from Miss Bolin, who works at the Sheriff's Department, before he went back up there to Kevin's office, the judge's chambers, that day. We still don't know what was in that text message. We don't know what she said to him. Let's see what this one says. Settlement conference. I think it just says that it was called to order. This matter was called for a settlement conference with the parties present. Oh, and something else about that court date yesterday. Everybody was to be there in person. Everybody was, well, it was 2 days ago, not yesterday. Everybody was ordered to be there in person. And I don't know what was going on down there, but somebody sent me a message earlier. I think it was earlier today. It might have been yesterday, but I think it was today. And they said, what's going on down at the courthouse? I said, I don't know why. They said they had it all roped off. They had it all blocked off. Nobody could go in or down by the courthouse. And I said, I don't know. Hadn't heard nothing about it. And then I got to thinking, and I was like, well, could that have been, did they block off the courthouse because all those people were coming? Mickey was going to be there. Sabrina had to be there. I guess I'd say Billy Jones probably had to be there. I don't know. I don't know if he would have had to have been there or not. I don't know. It's a good question. Good question. A joint status order was also filed, electronically filed, 4/28/25. And it says the parties by and through counsel hereby submit this joint status report consistent with the court's directive as set out in its November 22nd, 2024 in its set out in, looks like it's missing a word there. The parties advise that discovery is now complete, and the parties have a settlement conference with Magistrate Adkins scheduled for tomorrow at 10 a.m. The Letcher County Sheriff's Office filed a motion for summary judgment that is now fully briefed and awaiting decision from the court. So the discovery is complete, but that was in that was in the civil case. They're going to have a whole new set of discovery, wouldn't they? For the civil case, as opposed to what they had for the criminal case. I mean, I'm sure it would be the same. It would include that, right? it would include all the discovery from the criminal case, but it would probably also include more stuff pertaining to the civil matter. But I'm just guessing. RJG, did Mickey appear at the settlement conference? Yes, I just said that. Everybody was to be there in person. So I'm assuming he was there. It was ordered that everybody be there in person. He was removed from the civil suit itself, and he was replaced with the new sheriff. I wonder what the new sheriff feels about that. He probably don't care. It ain't gonna be no skin off his back. The money will come from the taxpayers, y'all. It ain't gonna come out of Ben. He ain't got no money, probably. I don't know. That's probably not true. Family's loaded, allegedly. So who knows? But just because his family's loaded doesn't mean he's loaded. I had to learn that too. My mommy told me a long time ago. What is mine is not yours. Under Mickey's stress level, mental snap, it wasn't a thought. Well, and I'll tell you something else that's in these documents. I haven't had a chance to go through them yet because we just got them while we were on the air. But I was told that they talk about Mickey's encephalitis somewhere in this stuff. So I wonder how that is going to play into the civil case. I mean, the encephalitis is the tick from the tick bite, like Lyme disease. How is that going to play into the civil matter? I don't know. Hi there, Angel Fire, my love bug. I love you. Head in the Clouds 33. My grandpa grew up in Fixer, Kentucky. I don't know where that's at. I don't think I've ever even heard of that. So I caught your channel by looking for anything Kentucky. Glad I found you, and I appreciate the work you do. Thank you, Cece. I sure do appreciate it. Wanda, sounds like something was fixing to happen to Mickey or something was going down. It does, doesn't it? Does that lead any kind of credibility to Mickey's fear? Think about it. Mickey was terrified that those cops were going to turn him over to somebody else. Could Mickey be aware of other times, other situations that desperate, extreme solutions, lack of a better word, were taken? Could he have been aware of what some people in the past? Only he knows. And think about it. He still, no matter what he knows, he still can't say it. He still can't tell nobody. I mean, I'm sure he could tell his lawyer. But he's no longer here to be able to protect his family. The only way he keeps his family safe is to keep his mouth closed. Which I wish he would talk. I wish he would tell it all. I think, and it's just my own opinion, but I think that's the only way he does keep them safe. Because if he tells and he talks, even if even if it's self-deprecating, even if he was involved in something, is the only reason that he knew about it. You're already in prison, or you're already going to prison. You know, his lawyer has said several times that they are looking for a complete acquittal. Well, in my view, if they're looking for a complete acquittal, then that means he has to have one heck of a story to tell. But then again, he could do a plea. If they offer him 15 years, then we definitely know something's up. Because a sheriff walking in a judge's chambers and doing what he did with no explanation is worth 15 years. How well do they think that's going to go over? But I think in this area, they're so used to these kinds of sentences. They're so used to having control over these things and just sentencing whatever, whatever they can get by with. I mean, lots of these charges have statutes. Like there's minimum or mandatory minimum sentencing that people have to be sentenced to. I'm no lawyer. I'm just thinking out loud. And they have to abide by them. So does that mean that it does? I don't think it's a question. I think it's a statement. So that means our laws, our sentencing laws, are written to where a pedo can commit sexual acts against children of our community. More than one child in our community. They can do that and not have any time. No time whatsoever. That's our laws. Our laws say that. Who are we sending to Frankfurt? Who's been going to Frankfurt that's done that? Some of these sex offenders don't even have like guidelines. Like one I'm thinking of right around here close has no stipulations against him. There's no so many feet he has to be away from a school. There's no he can be around children all he wants to. I don't think his charges involved children. I think the sex abuse charges he was charged with were for adults. An adult woman. But it just goes to show our laws are not being written to fit the crime. And then they turn around behind letting somebody off with no jail time whatsoever and nail another guy to the wall and send him away for 30 years for something that they say he's innocent for. I don't know, y'all. I don't know. So many times they threaten people with big prison time. And so people get scared. They don't go to trial. They take a plea that's offered because that's a lot less time than if they gambled and took it to trial. Well, what if he was innocent? Sorry, I didn't mean to get off on that tangent. Maybe they wanted him to step down so they could replace him before an election. Well, He wasn't running in the next election. And think about this. This was September. This was September that when the pew happened. It was what? September 19th. The election was November. 2 months away. He was out of there. He only had what? September, October, November, December, January. He only had 4 months. New sheriff would have came in January, and he was out of there. He would never have had to work with those people again. If he really didn't like them, if they really weren't his friends, he had the chance to leave. He was leaving. He'd already planned it. He didn't even put his name in the election for another term. He was done. But if this was a possibility that they could have just replaced him in the suit, why didn't our county attorney tell him that and say, resign? We'll appoint the new guy. We can make him replace him in the civil suit. We can file a motion. Why wasn't that explained? Like, why did he have to be so fearful? Was he, you know what I mean? It just doesn't make much sense to me. Okay. Just doesn't make much sense. Those staffers, hi, Miss Tracy. Bless you, honey. Those staffers don't want to be the next ones mentioned on Hillbilly Crime. Incumbents run strong. Yeah, but he wasn't an incumbent. He wasn't running again. He was retiring. Mr. Facebook said he is being taken advantage of by the F word, trafficker, who has bragged that nothing will ever happen to her as long as he is in office. Well, okay, he's out. Go get her, Tiger. I wonder who that is. That's interesting. He is being taken advantage of by an F trafficker who has bragged that nothing will ever happen to her as long as he is in office. Well, okay, he's out. Go get her, Tiger. You're going to have to send me an email on that one, honey. And tell me the tea. Spill the tea. I want to know. Did nobody have the cojones to tell Dotson to get out when Mickey gave his deposition? Just asking seems like to threaten or intimidate. I said it the first time we saw the deposition. As soon as we saw it, and I read it and saw that DD was there, I think I said it on Court TV, didn't I? You just remember, I was the first one to say it. That case was in Pikeville Federal Court. Was that where the civil case was? It was in Pikeville. Did they have that in Pike County? The reason why I thought it was in Letcher County was because Ned said that he had to file that in the Letcher County courthouse. When he first filed it, he said he had to file it there. And that's why he said that he would never practice law in front of Mullins in Mullins's courtroom ever again. Because when he took it and filed it, Mullins did not want to resign or recuse himself from that case. He tried his best to hang on to it. And I reckon Ned pushed back and pushed back. That's how I perceived his interview, was that he pushed back on that and he ended up having to refuse to practice law in Judge Mullins' courtroom ever again. And Judge Mullins finally recused from it. So, but it is a federal lawsuit, so I figure it would be in a federal courthouse. I wonder why it had to be filed in Letcher County Courthouse. That's interesting. But I'm sure it's just a normal process. Even if Mickey stepped down, he was the sheriff when the incident occurred. I know, but he's off of it now. And it didn't say anything about his current circumstances. Remember when I read it? Let me pull it back up here. Substitution. I think it's a statute. Pursuant to Fed RCIV.P.25 in parentheses D. I don't know how to say that any other way. Not A, an action does not abate when a public officer who is a party in an official capacity dies, resigns, or otherwise ceases to hold office while the action is pending. The lawsuit is pending still. It was actually put on hold until there was an outcome or something of the criminal case. So it must be a statute that as long as that case was pending, and if somebody is in a lawsuit in their official capacity, you see, he's not named as his personal individual capacity. It's official. Dies, resigns, or otherwise ceases to hold office while the action is pending. The officer's successor is automatically substituted as a party accordingly. What does abate mean? Abate, of something perceived as hostile, threatening, or negative, become less intense or widespread, cause to become smaller or less intense, lessen, reduce, or remove. Lessen, reduce, or remove. Let me get back over here. Read it again. An action does not abate when a public... So the action does not lessen when a public officer who is a party in an official capacity is removed while an action is pending. So I guess that's just saying that just because Mickey has now resigned, the action of the lawsuit, I'm assuming, I'm no lawyer, so you all take that with a grain of salt, because I don't know what it means. But I'm going to dig through all this stuff and talk to some of my legal minds and see what they say once I read it. Let's look at the motion for substitution. Now remember, it was granted, but this is the motion that was sent. Motion for substitution of successor. Come the defendant, Mickey Stines, Letcher County Sheriff, and moves the court for an order substituting Billy Jones as the named Letcher County Sheriff in this matter. On October 1st, 2024, Billy Jones was sworn in as the Letcher County Sheriff in accordance with Fed R Civ P 25D1. Sheriff Jones should be substituted for his predecessor, Sean Mickey Stines, as the proper defendant in this action. See Fed R Civ P 25D. A public officer's successor is automatically substituted as a party. Wherefore, defendant requests an appropriate order of the court. Respectfully submitted. And that is from his sheriff's lawyer. And then it just says the counsel for defendants, Ben Fields, in his official capacity as deputy sheriff with the Letcher County Sheriff's Department, and Mickey Stines, Letcher County Sheriff. So they both have attorneys in their official capacities through that sheriff's thing. And let's see. Defendant's rule, motion for substitution. There was two of them here. After conducting the motion, that's just the order. Reply, memorandum. Oh, this is just more text messages. So one of the things that they did, that I see that they did, in that discovery, there was a couple photographs that one of the victims, we'll just leave it at that. One of the victims had taken a picture of herself in her undergarment and had sent it back to Ben. And that was in that discovery. And if you remember when we listened to Ben's interview last week, a couple weeks ago, he kept asking those investigators, did you see it all? Are they going to see it all? He was talking about those photographs and the messages that the girls had sent back to him. And I know this from personal experience. You know, I told you I've had them Irvs that want to send all those pics all the time. And they don't just send the pic of themselves. Then they sit there for the next 3 hours and beg for you to send one of you back. There's always a quid pro quo motive there. They're not just sending one to you for no reason. They want you to send one back. And, you know, and I've experienced that, you know, like, no, I'm not going to do that. Well, you can say no till you're blue in the face and they don't take the hint. They just keep begging and begging and begging and begging. I mean, it's like, stop. Do you not have any pride in yourself? I mean, come on. Think about her position. She already said she would not have had anything to do with him if it had not been for them being forced in this situation. I'm sure she did not. I mean, I'm just assuming and I'm speculating. But I don't, who knows? Maybe she loved it. I don't know. But I highly doubt it. These women cried to this investigator, Easter, and said, I loved my husband. I would never have done him that way. Just because people are rug addicts don't mean that they're heartless. It doesn't mean that they're any less valuable as human beings. They have loved ones. They have people who love them the same way that these fools say they love their kids. And just because they have a big job somewhere with so much power, that doesn't, so what? You still put your pants on one leg at a time, like I do. And only by the grace of God, there go I. People better get that in their heads. Only by the grace of God, there go I. So you can see what another person has to live. And it's only by the grace of God that our lives didn't travel down that same type of path. You know, we can't choose what families we're born into. We can't choose our parents. So therefore, we can't choose whether we are wealthy or whether we are poor when we are born. And a person's life experiences and all of that kind of stuff all fits in with that, you know. But these women are no less than. And what they've been through, just because they've struggled with drug addiction, does not mean that they're worthless. All of them down there in Whitesburg wanting to holler about treatment and recovery and treatment and recovery. But only if you go through ARC's program. Only if you go through ARC's program will they even acknowledge your recovery. It's all just a bunch of to get that money. Keep that money rolling in. We got to look like we care. We got to look like we are doing something. Feds should be doing the investigation, period. Well, but what are they going to do? They also did the investigation into Blair, Hazard's prosecutor. He was doing worse than Ben was. At least Ben got 6 months in jail. That fool got off with honest services fraud. Really? That was a federal prosecutor too. And a federal judge that accepted the plea bargain. I think we've got to start holding them responsible. They're the ones that are coming up with these pleas. They're the ones that are coming up with these sentences, and the judges are the ones that are approving them. And those reps that we're sending to the Capitol, I wish they would fix those laws, those sentences, those mandatory minimums. No way should Patrick Little have gotten away with what he did. No way. If somebody, whoever was in the know, was to go back and look at that case, there were so many things done wrong. Like his initial defense attorney ended up becoming his own prosecutor. Oh, but he had to recuse. Oh, but he didn't even recuse until after a year after it was all over and done with. There was never a motion to withdraw, not that I can find, as his initial defense attorney. Can't find one in public records. The only thing that I was able to get through the public records request was the recusal letter that wasn't even sent in until I did my first show, asking questions about it. Who would go back and even check that out? Like, would that be throughout? I don't know. I have no idea. Who would actually, whenever they take a plea like that, don't they give up their right to appeal? Well, what if the case was screwed up so bad? I mean, he got the deal of a century. He didn't get no time. But what about those things that weren't done correctly? What about all those mess ups and mistakes and stuff? Is that allowed? I didn't think it was. I mean, we're talking about people's lives. This is our criminal justice system. It's a little bit more important than just saying, oh, oops. Don't look at that. I'll do better next time. It's the exact same thing. I was talking about that money. All that money, those donations that was sent to this county that apparently, from what I've found or what I've been told, there ain't even no documents. Like, there's no receipts. There's nowhere to go and look at paperwork and say $100,000 was spent on this, $50,000 was spent on that, $20,000 spent on that. From what I've been told, there ain't nothing. They might have a few, but they don't have nowhere near what they needed to show where all that money went. 2 years later, we have another big flood. There's more money that comes into this area. And everybody's saying, well, what happened to the money before? What happened to all that? We didn't get no help. We didn't get help from FEMA. We didn't get help from the county. We didn't get help from nobody. There was enough money sent in here that people like that, they could have gotten help. Or at least I think so. But then, it's like, no, well, yeah, we made a bunch of mistakes with that, but don't worry about that. We've learned our lesson. We're going to do this and right. But yet, if I worked at that gas station down there in town and I come to the end of my shift and my drawer was $500 short, guess who's going to jail? Guess who's going to be charged with that? Because I can't show where it went. I mean, you probably get fired, number one. And they would probably either, I don't know, would they take it out of your check and make you pay it back? Or would they charge you with theft? I don't know. But either way, you're going to be held accountable for that $500 that goes missing. Well, what about $5 million? You know, and in the meantime, the people of Letcher County are hungry, can't pay their power bills, can't pay their electric bills or water bills. But somebody's got plenty of money. They sure don't look like they're struggling any. Driving them big old brand new fancy trucks. Got property all over Tennessee. Own half of Letcher County. Businesses out the yin yang. No. Doesn't make me suspicious at all. just a bunch of speculation. Don't think anybody really knows what's going on. Or at least that's what's being made out to be. Well, we still don't know why Mickey pew'd the judge. And none of this is speculation, honey. These are all filed documents that have been released. You are correct. Some of the evidence will overlap, but typically they are separate from a discovery standpoint. Thank you. Thank you. Sheriff's office is self-funded, though. That's true. Very, very true. Thank you for reminding me of that. So how will that work? Well, I bet they've got insurance. I bet insurance will pay that. I bet they've had to have some kind of insurance policy to protect the sheriff's department in official capacity. I don't know if I'm right or not. May not be. But it sounds like that would make sense for them to have some type of insurance to protect the office itself. Does anyone in Kentucky know who Titus Morris is? That name doesn't ring a bell, Miss Sonia. The taxpayers pay, not the individual, which is a shame. Well, we'll have to see how that works out because I don't know. The sheriff's department was sued. Mickey was named in his official capacity. Get you some cream of tartar. Take 1 teaspoon in 4-ounce juice every night before bed for 1 week. Also take 100 ml. That helped me quit after 40 years. It binds the poisons. Thank you, Miss Pamela. I'm going to take me a picture of that. I'll do it. Miss Terry, the sheriff's department carry liability insurance. So does the county and the city. That's what I thought. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I thought Mickey was sued in his official capacity and personally in the civil case in federal court. Nope. He was sued in his official capacity, not his personal. Now, Ben was sued in both. Ben was named in the civil suit in his official capacity as a deputy and in his personal capacity as Ben Fields. So he's got the double whammy, but Mickey wasn't. Mickey was only sued in his official capacity. Which, like I said, I think there's an argument there to sue them both, but just an argument. Not saying it would win. I just don't see, I see how the group chat. I just think that really showed a lot of the culture throughout the department. It wasn't something in Ben's private messaging just between him and Mickey. It wasn't something that was just Mickey in his private messaging to a woman, you know. It was a work chat. And they were all just as vulgar as the rest. I don't think there was one that was any less than the other. And I got 15,000 pages of them. So there's a lot to look at. You know, it wasn't just, that's what I was saying. It wasn't just a one-off. You know, it wasn't just a one message every once in a while that was offensive, making fun of somebody or something. Sexual. It was all of them. I mean, and sprinkled in with all this vulgarity would be some work talk. Sprinkled in. But the majority of this chat was dirty pictures, memes, ton of memes, ton of memes. Keeping it all in the family. They took a picture and put the Judge Mullins's face on, I guess it would have been one of the deputies' bodies. And he had his arm around his mother, his own mother, and he had his other arm around his own wife. So he had a picture of his wife and a picture of his mother sitting here, and he's in the middle. And they took Judge Mullins's head and stuck it on his body. So it looks like Judge Mullins has got his hand around dude's wife and dude's mom. And then they put a big thing up there and said, keeping it all in the family. I mean, they made a lot of jokes. It was very childish. It was very, and that was a PG one. That was a totally PG one. There's another one where they took a picture, and I don't know if it was of them, of one of them, or if they got it somewhere else and just pretended like it was them. I have no idea, because it doesn't show the face. They're just taking a picture like this, and it shows something sticking out of their shorts. Oh, and it shows it. It shows it. And it says something funny, or supposed to be funny, about it. I mean, and there's 15,000 pages of that kind of stuff. You know. I love you, Angel Fire. Miss Sonia, so many crazy. If you don't know what bestiality is, like I certainly did not, you will be shocked. Just saw it on the news a couple days ago. A young girl in her 20s. They were going, it was their body cams. They went and arrested her, indicted her for bestiality charges. I don't know who found them, but they found pictures on their phone of her being with her dog. And her child was in the room, in the picture. They could see her child in the room. Baby. It was a little child. It wasn't like one old enough to know what was going on, but still. I think they probably took those kids. And apparently the husband even knew about it. I think we see that a lot more now than what I ever heard of it before. That a lot of this stuff is becoming a couple's fantasy or something. You know, a lot of the swinging, all those private parties that everybody talks about around here. That's why I keep talking about sex trafficking. When you've got a man and he has a girlfriend, a live-in girlfriend, may have even been married. I don't even know. I think they might have gotten married, but still together for years and years and years. When you're sharing her with anybody and everybody that wants to, there's a little bit something messed up in that. There's a little bit something that, a lot of something that's messed up in that. My opinion, Mickey's brain is fried at this point. We don't know his mental state today. He could be deteriorating psychologically to not even be in a state of mind to stand trial. I don't think that they're even contesting that he has any kind of mental illness now. I don't think that's what they're saying. They're saying he's competent to stand trial. What they were doing the mental evaluation for was his criminal responsibility. So what they're saying is that day that the pew happened, there was something that happened that was so bad within that conversation. Remember, they've not released that piece of video leading up to the pew. They show us from the time the pew happened on, and they show us way earlier in the day, like 3 hours before that. But from like noon until 3, when the pew happened, I don't remember seeing video that was in that time frame. I think all the video that we saw was before that and after. But that piece of video that leads up to the pew has not been released yet. It's the only piece that's not been released yet. Thank you. So the court hearing was at the Eastern District Federal Courthouse. So you was right, honey. Impeccable. Yep. Yep. I think, right. If so, this only takes his name off part of it. I don't know. Listen, there's so many documents. It'll take me a couple days to read through all this stuff. So we'll know more tomorrow night's show. I'll have to go through it all. Thought about the safety of his family. That has to be bearing on his mind because there's still too many evil political people in office. Kentucky goes by who you know, not what you know, in my opinion. My old professor, I'll never forget him, Dr. McDaniel. He was awesome, and he was on every board. He had his hand in everything. And if he would have lived, he would have got me a job. That's what ended up happening. When you went to school around here, if you went through these programs, they got you a job, usually. And I wanted to go into policy. But he passed away. And when he passed away, but that was one thing that he told me. Better get it through your head now, little girl. It ain't what you know around here. It's all who you know. He was right. He was so right. I think they were blackmailing him by threatening his wife and daughter. Well, I've gotten a lead in the last few days on a rumor that started right after the pew happened that was pretty much dismissed as rumor. But do you remember what I said last night? So much of this stuff, I'm guilty of it. I am very guilty of it. Saying, that ain't true. That's not true. I don't believe it. That's a rumor. Somebody's just running their mouth. Then you start digging in, get more tips, get more sources, do more research. And it starts looking like, my God, could that be true? Could it be? I don't know. I worked with psych clients. It is tragic for a patient to even be in a place that is a reminder of bad things to the patient. PTSD triggers so much psych issues. Absolutely, you're right. Schizophrenia, delusions, etc. Could you imagine what Sabrina goes through? Could you imagine anytime she gets arrested now, what she goes through? Because I sure can't. The fear and the terror that those women went through, thinking that they were going to be transferred back to Letcher County Jail under his wife. How many times did they beg during those interviews for somebody to help them? Do y'all even remember listening? I don't remember which one it was. I'm wanting to say it was Sabrina, but it could have been Jennifer. One of them said she'd been in hazard jail for a month and hadn't even seen nobody. She was still in there over a case that was upstairs and downstairs. Her stuff was so jacked up, and nobody was coming to help her. Old Easter went in there to interview her, but he turned around and left. He wasn't worried about why she was there. He wasn't worried, are they holding this woman illegally? Well, nobody cared. There ain't one soul cared. And then you got old Butthead down there that comes out, and that other one putting it all over Facebook. Oh, we got a new bunch in there now. Why? Because he did something he was supposed to do? They already indicted somebody who had already had an outcome of their case. They shouldn't have been re-indicted again. So what, they actually dismissed it like they were supposed to? And didn't drag her through court through a double jeopardy? And that's something to pat him on the back for and put him up on Facebook on the front post saying there's a new sheriff in town? Are you joking me? Why would you do that? Because that only made you look stupid. It didn't make him look any better either. But it sure didn't make you look good. Forgive me, but it didn't. That looked like a political stunt or something. I don't even know what to call it. But that was ridiculous. Let me go pat this dad on his back because he pays his child support. They took his child support out of his check this week like they were supposed to. Let me go pat him on the back and just give him an award because he's taking care of his kid. It's what he's supposed to be doing. You know, we shouldn't have prosecutors who commit double jeopardy actions. I don't even know how to say that. I'm no lawyer. But I just thought that was really tone deaf. For all of us out here who aren't lawyers, we're not so stupid that we didn't pick up on that. Just saying. Midnight. It's so hard to wrap your head around any of this. It's almost overload. And just imagine how the people of this area have been feeling for a very, very long time. Nobody could come forward. Nobody could speak up about nothing unless they did it behind closed doors, through the grapevine. There's a whole lot of people talk about it, but nobody cares. They ain't telling it. They're not telling it. Well, they are. You've had, I don't know how many people told through this investigation. But when you've got somebody that's coming in asking you questions like an old dude did, who in their right mind would say anything? He already was, you took advantage of him, didn't you? You saw your own opportunity to not pay your ankle bracelet. How dare you? Oh, so you saw an opportunity. Oh, and you sent him a message. Oh, dude, don't worry about it. Yeah, we saw what she sent you. I know you couldn't help yourself. That was just way too much temptation. I know, dude. Listen, I do it too. I've been where you are, man. Just tell the truth and get over the hump. Get over the other side of it. Because he already knew they were going to slap him on the wrist. as long as he didn't lie. Is that what they told him for the polygraph? Just go in there and admit to what you did. Admit to having smecks on duty in the jail. Admit to drinking alcohol while you're on duty in the jail. Just don't lie. And you'll pass the test. And then we'll hire you. Sickening is what it is. Snooks says, it's also not what you know, but what you can prove. Midnight hell on earth. Doing a wonderful job with all your info, and I think you're fantastic. Spot on. Well, thank you, Warboob. Oh, Warboob. Excuse me. I read that wrong. Has to be wife or daughter. Well, I'm digging into that. There's a lead that I got on that. And I'm not going to say what it is yet because I don't know. We'll have to find out. But if this is true, if the lead that I got is true, Katie bar the door, y'all. Katie bar the door. Yes, Mickey knew too much. But he ain't the only one that knew too much. He ain't the only one. And another piece, I haven't seen it myself yet, but it was read to me earlier. So I'm excited to look and find it. But it was an apparently in this group of documents is the affidavit of LaShawna and her assistant, what's her name? The Bolin lady. So in one of those affidavits, I don't know which one of them it was, but in one of them, they say, and they're swearing under oath in that affidavit, that they never received any complaint about Ben at the sheriff's department. And remember, old dude, Jennifer Hill's boyfriend, wrote his affidavit and swore up and down that he called the office and reported it over the phone. They told him that he had to come in. He couldn't do it over the phone. He had to do it in person. And remember, we heard them tell in LaShawna's deposition how they dealt with complaints. If anybody had a complaint, they were told they had to stay there and talk to Mickey in person about the complaint. If Mickey wasn't there, they had to stay there and wait on him. Well, Jennifer Hill's boyfriend called. They told him to come in, and apparently he went in and gave a complaint in person too. But if I remember right, I don't think Mickey was there. So he went in to complain, but Mickey wasn't there, I think, if I remember that right. And then after he left, he says he got pulled over 4 or 5 different times after in the same day. He also has proof. He has some proof to back up what he was saying. Because one of those times he was pulled over, he was given a citation. He was given a ticket. So that's on file. That he was pulled over that evening and given a ticket for something stupid. It was something like a light was out on his license plate or something like that. I forget what it was, but it was something really small. It was something really, really small that he shouldn't have really gotten a ticket for. But Sherry, thank you for your super sticker, sweetheart. Every penny helps, you guys. Every penny helps. Got the snort. No one knows who they can trust, but the sad truth is you cannot trust any of them. No one was willing to take a stand until the women in this case. That's exactly right. The real hero in all of this, heroes. Sabrina Adkins, Jennifer Hill, rest in peace. Her boyfriend, he was a hero in this too. He had the cojones to step up and speak up. He had the cojones when he knew nothing was going to happen. But he still did the right thing. So I'm saying most addicts that I know will give you the shirt off their back. They'd split their last cookie with you. But these other fools, they wouldn't spit on you if you was on fire. Unless it's election time. Then you might get one of them's, what do you call it? Oh, Airbnb. It's election time. They might offer you a free night in their Airbnb. Makes me sick. Election time, they may donate a whole big bunch of money to the schools. But if it ain't election time, I think they might have to just wear their same uniforms they had last year. Oh, but they will put him up on this big pedestal. Cracks me up when people say, well, at least so-and-so pays his child support. I know. That's a pet peeve of mine. I can't stand that. When people do what they're supposed to be doing in the first place, I just don't see why you got to put them up on this big pedestal and give them a participation award. You know? I'm not someone who laughs when someone trips or makes a joke, but I'll crack up if someone says the wrong word. I do it all the time. I try not to. No, I don't do it all the time, but I do it sometimes. And that's a pet peeve too. Drives me crazy. And then I'll do it. It drives me crazy for somebody else to do it, and then I'll do it. How many of these abused women with addiction issues are no longer here to report these crimes? And how many had information that are no longer here that they didn't even get to report? Ned said persons in the courthouse were provided the evidence. It's been a while since I've heard those interviews that he gave, so I will take your word for it. Well, we've got several unsolved red rums in Letcher County that apparently there's no conclusion for. I don't even know what kind of an investigation any of them have done, even though that they, tell the families, oh, we're investigating this. Who investigated this guy that was unalived right across the road over here in the apartments? Who investigated the mother and daughter that was unalived 6 months apart. And they kept breaking into the daughter's home after she was unalived. Mom said it looked like they were looking for something, but they kept breaking in, looking for something. Her mother went around begging for information. Tell me. Don't take it to the cops. They ain't doing nothing. Come tell me. Next thing you know, she's found outside of her car with her groceries in the back seat. And the way that it was described to me, it looks to me like she might have been pulled over. What if she was blue lighted and she pulled off on the side of the road? The way that it was described to me that they found her car, that's what it looked like. Do you think that was ever even investigated as a possibility? I seriously doubt it. No, I wouldn't be betting on that. 456 in the house. Let's get done more likes. Hit that like button for us, y'all. It really helps the channel get out to more, a bigger audience. And this corruption does not. It is not unique to Letcher County, Kentucky. Absolutely is not. I think that all the time, dandelion. Oh, how many are not with us here now? Yeah. And they always say that there's no coincidences when it comes to red rum. If there's a coincidence or something that is perceived as a coincidence or whatever, I've always heard there are none. So you better dig at that a little deeper. I like Betty Boop. That was my nickname when I was in 5th grade, was Betty Boop. Because they said I had such a small mouth. Betty Boop. Crystal, I'm sitting here going, don't say it, Elizabeth. Haven't kept up this case in a while. Hello, Sounding Six. So did Stines know the stuff was going on all along? Or did he off the judge after finding out about it? Well, we really don't know, to be honest. That part has not really been told yet. But I would find it very, very, very hard to believe that if this stuff was going on, as it seems like it was, for a very long time, by multiple people. Ben wasn't the only one. This was multiple people. He had to have known about it. His own lawyer said he was in a very unique position and was aware of things that were being done in that environment that were not being done appropriately. Now, I think he chose his words very, very carefully for that interview and for what he said. And I think his lawyer knows. I think his lawyer knows everything. I think so. Thank you, Miss Tracy. Sounding Six. Oh, that is what we just read. This seems like a place that would taint the street supply to silence people. Wink, wink. Jennifer Hill OD'd, so they say. And she OD'd before the criminal case was concluded with Ben Fields. So whenever he was sentenced and pled guilty, whenever he took the plea, the charges for Jennifer Hill, or the counts for Jennifer Hill, were dismissed because there was no longer a reporting party. There was no longer a victim. So the only charges and counts that he was faced with and was sentenced for was the ones for Sabrina Adkins. But from what I understand, there's 3 women. There's supposed to be 3 women who are represented in this federal civil lawsuit. So, and the civil lawsuit was filed before they ever even did an investigation into Ben. That was the only reason they did do the investigation, because a civil suit had been filed. Pamela, I had a guy help me build a chicken coop, spent 8 years in prison for whooping a chomo to a pulp. So Mr. Little, that actually did the crime, got zilch. Oh yeah, he didn't get nothing. And remember, he was a college buddy of Judge Mullins. And from what I've heard, allegedly, this is not these that he pled guilty to are not the first time that he's been accused of this sort of thing, allegedly. From what I have found digging and doing my research, he's been accused before, but nothing came of it. Nothing happened. So this is just the first time that he's had any consequences. And it doesn't sound like he got a whole lot of consequences. All he ever did was work, and of course he slept in his own house every night anyway. So now he's on work release and house arrest for the next 5 years. So he gets to leave his house and go to work, which is what he did anyway. Work all day and then go home. Where's the consequence? Well, because he has to register now? Well, he owns his own business. How's that going to affect him? It's not like he has a license, a professional license that he's going to lose. You know? He plays guitar for a living. Yes, thank you, Miss Tracy. Bless you. Yes, or say a daddy stayed home and babysat, so what's a mommy doing? Be interesting to see how it pans out and what info comes out. Yeah. It's going to be interesting going through these documents. Miss Connie, thank you, sweetheart. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Buggy! My goodness. Good night, sweetie. Good night, good night. Bless you, bless you, bless you. I used to have a female identical to him midnight. Oh, kitties. You all ain't seen my big guy in a while. He's huge. He's the biggest cat I've ever seen, I think. And he just keeps getting bigger. Whenever we found him down at the football field last fall, we've had him about a year, I guess. He had a sibling. They were babies. They were just little guys. But he had a sibling look just like him. And some other lady took the sibling, and Alan took our bear. And I wish now that I had taken both of them. I'd have 5 cats, but still, I wish I'd taken both of them. I want his sibling. 9 months without a smoke, no withdrawals. Good deal, good deal. Yeah, today it only bothered me like after I ate, and I've just got that habit. I want to puff on my vape. I called it a puffer. It's my puffer. And I was always misplacing it and laying it down somewhere and then forgetting where I laid it. I think I want it to be like He's a hero serving justice that couldn't be done the right way. So he had to himself. But it's probably more that he's mad they got caught. Well, you weren't on the show last night, so I'll catch you up. This whole time, I have held out hope that Mickey was standing on some kind of moral ground, like he had done this out of some kind of moral stand, that this had just been going on so long, too long, and he had to be the one to stop it, or something to that effect. I had this whole time, I get a ton of tips, and I have a whole lot of very credible sources. I've developed them over time. And I had not one person, not one had come forward and said, Mickey did this to me. Not one. I had a couple times people said Mickey was doing the exact same thing Ben was doing whenever he was over house arrest. But I had not one person, and I didn't even have like a second hand, like somebody say, he did this to my friend, or he did this to my family member. Not one person said that. And so I was hoping. I'm always rooting for the underdog. I'm always looking for a knight in shining armor. And I'm always disappointed. I'm always disappointed. So the other day, one of my very credible sources, who I have developed over months and months, she's been with us for a very long time. She finally came to me and told me that she had been wanting to tell me for a long time, but she was scared. She didn't know how to say it. She had never told anybody. Her mother and me are the only ones in her life that she's ever told it to. She had left this area. She grew up here. She grew up with Mickey. Left this area, went and got a real good job, is not a rug addict, is a very professional person. Her child had gotten in some trouble and had to go to court. Grown child. She comes in to go to court with her child. Hadn't lived here in 20 years, so hadn't been here in a long time. She walks in court, and Mickey was the bailiff at this time. It was right before he ran for sheriff. So it would have been 2017 or 2018. She said that he recognized her, and after she left court, like, hey, how you doing? Oh my God, I ain't seen you in forever, girl. How are you? Man, you looking good. Man, you looking good. Jeez. She leaves and immediately starts getting messages on Facebook Messenger. Hey, girl, how are you? My God, I ain't seen you in a coon's age. Whatever he said. Oh, you're looking so good. Man, you're looking good. Oh, well, thanks. I've been working out, taking care of myself, And then she goes back home. Well, wherever she lives, they've got a little event every once in a while that happens. And apparently he went to that event and knew that that's where she lived. So he reaches out to her and starts talking to her. And she says, all of a sudden, he sends me an unsolicited, allegedly, sends her an unsolicited picture of himself without the zipper, if you know what I mean. She said she was mortified. Absolutely could not believe that he had done that. Oh, girl, I ain't never done this before. I ain't never sent one of these before, man. I'm so embarrassed. I'm so ashamed. But do you like it? Do you like it? What's it do for you? Oh, my God. I mean, come on. What'd they say when we was gag me with a spoon? I mean, this is not okay. I know that I laugh about it and go on and cut up, but it's not funny. I mean, it's the only way that I know how to deal with it. It's the only way I know how to deal with this stuff. That freeze, fight, or flight response that we have. I freeze or I start laughing. It's one of my defense mechanisms. But it's not funny. This woman was very bothered. She felt like, why else would she keep that such a secret? Why else would she feel so ashamed? That's not her shame to carry. It's not any of our shame to carry when we are approached in that manner, especially by someone in such a position. So, yeah, I was very disappointed. Very disappointed. Of course, it's all allegations. It's all just alleged. But I believe her. I believe her. Too many of them do it. Or no pay is a huge, huge industry. And it's something that, you don't know about your neighbor. You don't know what they got on their phone. You don't know what people are doing behind closed doors. You don't know what people do in their bedrooms. But that's exactly where it should stay, is in their bedroom. It should stay behind closed doors. They should not be subjecting other people to their overpayness. In my opinion, people can be forced to take drugs to make it look like someone unalived themselves. In a lot of the cases, MPO is that has happened in this place, in my opinion. Absolutely. Hot shots are a big thing now because the F word has become such a big thing now. It's a completely different issue. The people of my generation who ended up getting on addicted to pain pills, opioids, and that so many of us have been helped through like Suboxone and other forms of treatment, of MAT treatment, medically assisted treatment. Well, and then the meth came. Well, the meth, that's not an opioid. So the Suboxone or the methadone does not help meth. Does not. It's a completely different substance altogether. It does not work for meth. It was not designed for speed. It was not designed for that type of addiction. It's like a gambler. You're not going to put somebody who gambles on Suboxone. Suboxone is not a gateway drug. You cannot start on that. It will make you sicker than a dog. We need people who actually know, who actually are knowledgeable about these things. running these programs when you got bigoted people who absolutely have no idea? Absolutely has no idea. All they're after is the money. They just want to make it sound good, make sure that they cross all their T's, dot all their I's, and make sure everything's in place to keep that money coming in. They mentioned the time to die defense. Yes, they did. That was Ned. It's a time to unalive defense, which whenever I heard him say that, or give that interview, or whatever it was he said, he was, he's not a lawyer in that case, so he's just speculating as well, I'm gonna say. But talking about the time to unalive defense, there still has to be a story. There has to be an excuse. There has to be a reason. There has to be something that he tells that would make somebody on that jury say, well, I'd have done it too. They ain't gonna say that if you ain't got some story to tell. You can't say he was such a bad dude and then not tell us why he was such a bad dude. Which they're very good at here. Patrick Little's case, can't find nothing about it. Nothing. All you see are the charges. All you see is what is the plea, what he pled to. But you don't see what he did. You don't hear anything about what he did. We're not asking for victims' information here. That ain't what we're talking about. So don't even throw that at us. Look at all the rest of them. Bill Meade. We know that he paid a 14-year-old girl to come and wash a fire truck. He caught her in the corner and did something to her. We know that. That has been told. The hall lady, the nurse, when she got in trouble for being with that 16-year-old boy, the way that and it was put in the newspaper. It was told in the newspaper. They took videos of themselves. They all do. I don't know why this is such a stretch of the imagination that this was going on in the courthouse too. They took videos of themselves. He shared it with his buddies at school. Somebody saw it that wasn't meant to see it, and they told it. Well, when they were told that this was out there, how did that go down? How did that investigation get started? Did somebody just come to them and say, hey, I saw this video. How's that any different than what Sabrina did? Hey, I saw this video. But nobody investigated the judge. Nobody investigated any of the higher ups. But with those kids, somebody goes and tells, hey, we've seen a video. Well, how did they get it? How did they start that investigation? Did they get a search warrant on just that? Is that all that it took to get a search warrant? Was somebody to see it or say they saw it? I don't know. I'm asking the question. But that was all put in the newspaper. It was also told other details of that situation. But with Patrick Little, there's nothing. We don't know what he's accused of doing, How are we supposed to protect our kids then? If you turn him back out into the community, which you did, how is anybody supposed to protect their kids when they don't even know what to look for? Do you know what I'm saying? What makes that case more special and deserves special treatment than all these other cases? Old girl got 10 years in prison. And the age of consent in the state of Kentucky is 16. That boy consented to that, to what they did. The reason why she got 10 years, the reason why she got in trouble in the first place was because she was in a position of authority. She was a nurse, but she wasn't being his nurse. She wasn't his nurse. You know who she was? She was the one who worked with Children's Services in Letcher County for abused children. When they suspected that children were being sexually abused, they took them to her. She was that nurse. That is what got her 10 years in prison. And that she was over 10 years. She was more than 10 years older than him. Well, I think Patrick Little was more than 10 years older than the two victims that he is accused of. Plea bargain. He pled guilty. So it's not alleged. He pled guilty. And when the plea bargain that they had offered him was no longer, after the Safer Kentucky Act went into effect, and it messed up his sentence, so he was going to have to serve some time if they was to continue it the way that it was. They go back and mess with these charges and make it to where, it's okay. We're just going to change this entire indictment charge. I don't even know if they can do that. Apparently they can. I guess it would just be a plea bargain. They'd just have to change the plea to something else. I don't know. I think it's all just a bunch of malarkey. They change the rules as they go to whatever they need them to be. Whatever fits what they need them to be. Hi, I'm Bill from Pike County. I think Mickey should get the same punishment that any other person would get for unaliving someone. He should go to prison. Well, I'll tell you, Bill, whenever I watched that video of the pew, I was absolutely just shocked. He cornered that man. He went back repeatedly to make sure he would not live. 8 times? That man had 8 holes in him. 8. That's a lot. He even starts to walk out the door, turns around. The judge must have been moving or making noise or something. And it catches Mickey's attention, and he turns around and then goes underneath the table and makes sure it gives him 1 or 2 more for good measure. Does he deserve 15 years in prison? With that, what do you guys think? And I'm just guessing. If they offered him 15 years, do you think what do you think about that? Do you think he should get a plea? What would a plea look like? Thank you, Miss Pamela. What would a plea look like that would be sufficient? I'm totally on board with that. There's definitely some nefarious stuff happening. I just hope it can be proved in court. Yep. Me too. Roberta Hall, I can't be on my phone or I'll smoke more. But you're strong enough to quit. I'm rooting for you. Thank you. Yeah, we can all do it. We can all do it. It's just suffering through. Deny myself. That's what the Bible says. Deny yourself. Pick up your cross and follow me. I praise you, Jesus. I praise you, Jesus. Because there were rugs involved, i.e. users. Known users are easy to cover up with that kind of thing. I hope so as well, and justice for those is served who were. God knows it all, you all. God knows all. So Mickey was likely partaking in the activities. I don't know. Well, he allegedly sent one pic that we know of so far, and that was before he became sheriff, before he ran. So if he was doing it then, do you think he quit? Do you think that was the only time he ever did it? Do you believe that? I don't believe that. I don't believe any of them. They say, oh, I only did it one time. I've only done it once. But all your buddies are doing it too. You want to be the cool kid. You want to be in the cool clique. You want to be one of the cool bunch. That's what I'm hoping. With laws concerning substances and deaths being prosecuted these days, well, you know, they started prosecuting people who sold the substances that end up unaliving somebody, or at least we see that happening across the country in other states. I can't think of one off the top of my head here in Kentucky that I can think of right now. If it was the truth, wife and kid ain't gonna admit, because cost them or Mickey their lives. Well, you know, there is so much denial going on right now everywhere. That's not something most married men in public service would do, that's for sure, at least that we hope not. But around here, from what I've found out, it's an epidemic, buddy. It is an epidemic. One of the good old boys in that good old boys circle has been quoted. I mean, I've heard it 100 times if I'm not sitting here. I sure ain't no rug addict. I'm just a hardcore pervert pay. And he's proud of it. Always been proud of it. You can't even walk in that courtroom up there without, well, used to. I ain't seen him in a long time in court, but used to. Every time I'd walk in there, he'd be slobbering all over every woman in the courtroom. You'd see him going through the seats where people sit in the gallery or whatever you call it. He'd go over to this one and sit down with her and stick his arm around her, whisper in her ear. Disgusting. And he'd only be doing that to the pretty ones. You know, he wasn't doing that to the ones that were a little bit more homely looking. And I saw that kind of stuff myself with my very own eyes. And I ain't talking about the judge either. I just have a question. Who started these vulgar text messages between the sheriff's department and court officers? They all did. They were all doing it. And the ones that, let's see, Ben, you know, went to jail and got out. And then his wife got a promotion and went from working in the jail to working upstairs in Judge Mullins's courtroom. She was in the judge's chambers. The way that it looks to me by looking at those videos was Ben's wife was the very first one in that courtroom, or at least that's the way it looks, that she was the very first one to get into that room to Mullins after he was pew'd. It was Ben's wife. That's who was the first one through the door after Mickey left. I think that's notable. But she gets this big promotion and gets up there right where they can see her. You know, Ben was probably on her health insurance. She had such a good job with the state. I'm sure that was a state position. So she's probably a state employee. And I'd say she probably still works up there. Why would she lose her job? Just because Mullins got unalived. You know? They had her right there where they could keep her close. They could watch her. They would know everything. She hung out right in there in that break room. Even the new prosecutor with his feet up on the desk, on the table, making himself at home. Sitting right across from Ben's wife. Looks like they're all on good terms. How uncomfortable do you think that was for Mickey? Or was it? Would that have been uncomfortable? It would have been uncomfortable for me to be there with her right in my face every day. And going through what all they were going through with the civil suit and that. I mean, come on, man. Yeesh. Just bad decision making. It looks bad. Aren't they supposed to avoid the appearance of impropriety? Like all of them. Judges, prosecutors, defense attorneys. Aren't they supposed to avoid the appearance of impropriety? Does that not matter anymore? I don't think that matters around here. If it ever did. I don't think it ever did. Do you see what happens when you comb your hair? Don't block me, please. What? I don't know. I don't see Mickey having that much self-esteem. He reminds me to be the last one picked for a team. I know. Why would he send a picture like that? Why? Why do they? I don't know, but they do. I've gotten many of them myself, and they're all nasty. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that. Sorry. That kind of stuff don't get me excited. It don't. Sounds like it was all fun and games until maybe they were trying to mess with his family, and it's not so fun anymore. You hit that right on the head, honey. Caged on the inside? I think you hit that right on the head. There's no shame in being a victim. That's for the perpetrator. That's right. But how many of us victims take on that shame? Just about all of us do. And we shouldn't. We shouldn't. Now, how do you think that Sabrina felt when being interviewed by Matt Easter? Because I think he put every bit of the shame on her. Like, that infuriates me. Infuriates me. I still cannot believe that they think that's perfectly okay. And in the meantime, they have an entire task force. An entire task force dedicated to sexual sex trafficking, human trafficking, which I think, in my opinion, has been going on right down here in this county for a very, very long time. But how dare we ever say it? How dare we even mention it? But yet they've been loud and proud for years and years and years about this stuff. It wasn't, I mean, they only hid it from certain ones of us who they knew wouldn't approve. There's a whole lot of people in that good old boys club that do not work at the courthouse. You got a lot of business owners. You got a lot of buddies, a lot of friends. Money makes you a lot of friends. When they're donating money to your school, when they're donating money to your athletic program, I guess they'd probably say anything they want them to say. Something I worry about, someone getting either purpose to spread lies. Not saying that person's lying. I'm just cautious of everyone. Yeah. No. Trust me. I believe her. I've had a police officer from my hometown send me a picture of his man parts, and I didn't even know him. However, he knew me in my red Camaro. The picture clearly showed his uniform pants. Some of them are smart and know not to put their face in the picture. Some of them ain't too bright. Some of them ain't too bright. Thought I was going to watch replay, but you're still here. Yeah, it's almost midnight. We'll go ahead and jump off here. We've been on here 2.5 hours. When people get embraced, most times they just start laughing because they don't know how else to handle improper stuff on social media. That's right. That's right. My mommy used to get so mad at me. I'd start laughing and giggling. I couldn't help it. Elizabeth. She used to call me Little Beth. That was my nickname when I was little. Little Beth. Remember what Jeremy Bartley said in that interview about Terry and Kevin picking Mickey's replacement? He said he'd be surprised if Mom is even voted for Mickey. If Kevin even voted for Mickey. Yep. They did. I heard about that meeting a long time ago that took place between Terry and Kevin. Yep. I feel for everyone that's put in a compromising position. These days, it's just ever so easy to take advantage of people weaker. It is. Especially when there's nobody to turn to. When there's nobody to turn to. And everybody's so quick to think, yeah, I'm going to file a lawsuit. I'm going to sue them. Well, good luck with that. Good luck finding a lawyer that'll even take your case around here. I'm surprised this one even went. I'm really surprised this one went. I really, really am. And I think the only reason that it did go is because she had the text messages. She had the text messages and she brought them forward. And if you remember, if you listened to their interviews, their audio interviews that we heard, Sabrina says multiple times that she told Ben she was going to tell. Because he had put her in a position to where she was getting ready to get in trouble. She was going back to jail. He had filed an escape warrant on her. He was playing the system. And he wasn't going to be the one to face any consequences. They were the ones who kept having to go back to jail. And it seems like nobody is even pointing to the fact they were held in a freaking jail that is more like a dang dungeon than it is a jail. It's absolutely disgusting. From what I was told by a former employee at the jail, the state inmates were taken out of that jail because they could not meet, well, the way that it was told to me, which is just a report. I guess it's an allegation. I don't know. It was actually done. They were removed. So I don't know. But allegedly, we'll stick that in there just in case. Allegedly, it was so dirty that they couldn't pass the inspections. So the state yanked the state inmates out of that jail. They used to hold state inmates. And from what I've been told, they don't no more. But I don't know. I ain't confirmed that. So take it with a grain of salt. Can't trust anyone. Life seems easy when you're fat and sleazy. Oh, that's funny. Addicts want to stay in the shadows. These are just a couple drops in the bucket. It only takes a drop to make a ripple, though. That was pretty. I like that. One officer showed his thing to a lady officer, said accidentally. Hill walked in court. She walked out $1 million. Louisville was a short thing about it because I think that was set up. Could be. Could very well be. Seems like if they can't go to the law for help, then they need to play it smart and show these pictures. Bring all eyes on them. It's hard to make someone disappear when everyone is looking. Yeah, but around here, life is just too hard on these people. The only reason that I get away with it, the only reason, because I didn't have anything to lose. None of them employ me. They don't own my home. And I don't drink. I don't use. I don't do anything like that. So I'm not out at the bar on Saturday nights, driving home after I've been drinking. You know, I stay home. I'm at home all the time. Take my kids to school or whatever. But I keep my tail home. I'm not out there putting myself in a situation where I get pulled over, you know, and being in risky situations, putting myself in risky situations, being at rug houses, in rug neighborhoods and stuff like that. That's how you put yourself in bad situations, you know. But that's the only reason that I'm able to do it. And trust me, I've went through, you know, even though a lot of them never spoke to me before anyway, so that's why it doesn't bother me, you know. They weren't doing, I didn't lose anything. Why? Because, and I meant to say this last night. So whenever Butthead went and did his big Facebook thing, and people unfriended me off of that, Facebook shows you, and YouTube shows you your analytics, your numbers on everything. And that day that he did that, I lost 130 friends. They weren't my friends anyway. And half of them unfriended me, but then immediately messaged me or called me, or their spouse or girlfriend or whatever did, and said, hey, my brother is on probation. He unfriended you, but don't worry. He just did it because he's afraid that they're going to revoke him. Half of them were those people. So do the math. Okay, I'll give you 75. 75 unfriended me. Do you know how many followers I gained the same day? Over 2,000. It was like 2253 or something like that. I don't think it worked quite the way that he thought it was going to. And you can have your 130. Bye. Bye. All you did was declutter my feed. So now I can actually see my friends, people who are my friends. I can actually see their posts now. The people who didn't know I existed and who never said hello to me when they saw me. Why do I care? I don't. I agree. Striving for Titus 2. How about the men keep it in their trousers? Keep your zipper up. It's not that hard. It's really not that hard. And if they can't keep their zipper up, I don't think they need to be in public office. Allegedly, Lacey, you can't lose something you never had. You can't miss something you ain't never had. That's right. I didn't have nothing to lose. I only had everything to gain. And I go through I went through several months there where, you go to the grocery store and somebody give you a side eye or something. That's okay. I just smile. How are you? Oh, bless your heart. All right, guys. Anita, how full was pockets when she went home from work? They've been safe in the shadows for far too long. Change is coming. Change is already here, sounding six. This platform has allowed so many people to come forward and tell their stories and tell what they've went through. And a lot of them I haven't even told yet. A lot of them I've just been stacking. I've been stacking information for a long time. I got a whole lot built up. We're going to have a book like you can't believe. Yeah. I just got to get some more hands on my team first before we even try that. Way too much. I do way too much right now. My hubby's cousin was the first arrested for deaths caused by providing death chemicals to the public in Colorado. Wow. I think she's talking about the DP. They've changed those chemicals too, I heard. Mickey was a big old boy who had body image issues, and I find it hard to believe he was a playboy. He wasn't no playboy, I don't think. I don't think he was a playboy at all. Not at all. But big boys like love too. Big boys need loving too. Ain't nothing wrong with it. I like a big boy sometimes. I mean, I don't date or anything, but I think some big guys are very handsome. Just because he was a big guy. He wasn't a bad looking fella. I don't think he was bad looking at all. He was just a big old boy, And we read their group chats. They were all very self-deprecating. They all laughed at each other. He was very, he tried to laugh about his weight a lot, and he talked about it a lot. But, they don't have to show their fat rolls when they show a picture of that. That can be all by itself. They don't have to show their whole body. You know? Don't end up in the corner. It's packed with word warriors. The worst kind of criminal. Yes, Mickey made sure he wasn't going to survive. Why is it so easy we can believe that he put 8 holes in a sitting judge for some reason, but he wouldn't take a picture of his thing? You know what I'm saying? I had the same thing. I was hoping. I was hoping that this was a moral stand. You know, I mean, it still could be. Who knows? We don't know. We don't know. We do not know. It's not like he could say they didn't see a bright red Camaro fly through town and doing donuts in parking lots. I just gave them reasons to pull me over, but they never did. I used to get banned all the time for saying things that were relatively mild in comparison to what a lot of people say in normal conversation. Big tech and their no words. Yeah, well, think about that group text now. What y'all are just talking about. That was inappropriate, you know. And Mickey, as the sheriff, like, they didn't have YouTube analytics or whatever it is, sensitive word thing to identify that stuff. That was a private group chat for work. The person that should have been over that would have been Mickey. You know, he should have not allowed that. He should have stopped that. That wasn't something that he should have participated in. You know, just jump in and, well, can't beat them, join them. I mean, and he was the one. You're the top dog. This stuff ends with you. That's why he was named on that lawsuit in his official capacity, because he didn't do what he was supposed to have done. But like we see, he just got out of that. All right, y'all. We've been on there long enough. I'm just running off at the mouth now. Let's see. Tiffany, gotta figure out how to turn these tables and not just play the game, but be the coach. All right, guys. Well, you have a great rest of your evening. I will see you tomorrow. Dandy. I won't even read that. Today they didn't have Karen Reed trial, but it will be starting back tomorrow. So join us in the morning, 9 a.m. We start day 8 of the Karen Reed retrial. And tomorrow evening, we will have a show with documents, now that we have them all. And we will get a little bit more detail into what is going on in that case. And we just are grateful, Lord, for another day being able to come together. And we're very thankful that you woke us up again for another day, Lord. We ask that you go with us with whatever we have to do. All of us have so many different things going on, Lord. I just pray that you will walk before us, that you'll go before us. Keep being the light at our feet, showing us the path, guide us, lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. Lord, there's a lot of people who are really suffering with medical problems. Several people have reached out to me, and you know who they are. You know what they're going through, and we just pray that you will give each of them a touch from the Lord and just give them a healing touch. We want to thank you for the healing that you've already given so many. Somebody reached out yesterday and gave us a praise report on her son. We thank you for the transplant. We thank you for the opportunity for her son to get better, Lord. We thank you. We ask that you will touch us emotionally, that you'll touch us physically, but most of all, more importantly, we pray that you will touch us all spiritually. Those that are lost, Lord, I pray that you just soften their hearts and lead them to you. I pray that you help us to be humble, help us to be compassionate, help us to be empathetic, and just give us your love, Lord. Give us your strength. Oh, we love you, Lord. I pray that you will forgive me for my sins, Lord. Put a watch over my mouth. Help me to not say the things that I don't need to say, and give me the words to say the things that I do need to say. And until we meet again, Lord, we lift your name up in praise. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, guys. We'll see you tomorrow. Sleep tight. Don't let the bed bugs bite. Bye.
You can't hide from hillbilly crime.
You can't hide from hillbilly crime.
You can't hide from hillbilly crime.
You may not know that there's a crew in town. The head hillbillies are making their rounds. Small town whispers loud and clear. The sheriff shot the judge in his chambers chair.
Sheriff got a secret he won't keep. Judge shot dead in his disbelief. A lot of people have some stories to tell. Dark pass away, get the sound of a shotgun shell.
All the secrets spill on down. Voices loud in this old town. From the courthouse to the ground. Rumors fly and they can't be bound.
Neighbors hide behind their blinds. Whisper tales of troubled minds. Skeletons covering the mountainside. A treacherous reality in the pines.
Winter reveals the hidden lies. Moonlight couldn't mask their cries. Shadows call